Hi there, guys. Charlie Gipple here with CG Financial Group. Hey, I want to real quickly go over 4 product comparisons for 8 different scenarios. Sounds daunting, but I promise you we're going to get through this video very, very quick. So here's a situation. You can disregard this illustration on the screen for about 30 seconds here while I explain what's going on. 2 different scenarios. You have income that's needed, say, 10 years from now. We have a 55-year-old. Should that 55-year-old be looking at a income-oriented annuity? That is an annuity with a GLWB. Well, what are the payout levels across 4 different top products in the industry right now when it comes to income? That is Nassau Re, AIG, Athene, American Equity. So today, which is March 31st, 2023, who has some of the highest payouts in the industry? I'm going to explain that on our 55-year-old needing income 10 years from now. I'm also going to explain it on a 65-year-old needing money now. So we're talking income now and income later. Those will be the 2 scenarios across these 4 product lines. Then I'm going to compare this to, say, a SPIA. Income now with a GLWB versus a SPIA. How does that compare? And then I'm going to talk a little bit about, forget all the noise. What matters is the end income number. Forget the roll-ups of a gazillion percent, the payout factors of 4%, 5%, 6.5%. What matters is the end income number. And then I'm going to tell you why I prefer this carrier over that carrier. All 4 of these products I love, and they are my number 1 in various different situations. So just know there is no favoritism here. All right, so first of all, what we have here is Nassau Re, our 55-year-old. Our 55-year-old needs income starting 10 years from now. So our 55-year-old in Iowa with $100,000, he needs money 10 years from now. That is when he wants to activate his rider. On $100,000, what is the payout that he will get 10 years from now? We can forget all this noise here for a second. This is the important number on this illustration. Wow. So we're talking 13% of what he puts in is available starting at age 65, guaranteed forever and ever and ever. Absolutely, that's the case. Okay, let's go over to AIG. So remember, 13,488. Let's go over to AIG. This is the important cell right here. And by the way, I'm going to zoom in. My apologies if you can't read what I just showed you with Nassau. I'm going to zoom in a little. $13,000 is the annual income starting at age 65. So again, income later, so far Nassau Re wins. But that's not all to the story, as we'll come back and discuss. Now, what about Athene? Athene is $11,700. So $11,700, and what was AIG? AIG was $13,000. So far it is Nassau Re number 1, AIG number 2, and Athene number 3 when it comes to the income later scenario. What about American Equity? Guys, American Equity is absolutely killing it nowadays with a recent rider reprice, $14,282. By the way, folks, my geeky self punched into my financial calculator the cash flow of $14,282 coming out until life expectancy, for example, age 85, and that's around a 5.5% internal rate of return. That is very good. That's a guaranteed internal rate of return. Of course, assuming he lives until age 85. If he lives until 90, 95, which is really what longevity insurance is designed to hedge against, the internal rate of return is much bigger. So these riders are pretty sexy nowadays. Now let's go back over to the income now scenario. How do these 4 companies, these 4 riders compare from an income now standpoint? Well, Nassau Re are... Let me go up just so you know that I'm telling the truth here. Our 65-year-old client, $100,000. He is going to defer that rider 0 years. So income immediately. So think kind of an alternative to a single premium immediate annuity, although in some cases better. In some cases worse, and that is largely around taxation if we're talking non-qualified money. But we'll talk about SPIAs here in a bit. Now, what do we have here? We have $7,085. You know, I remember at 65, once upon a time, a 5% payout factor was extremely sexy. Now we're talking 7.08% immediately on $100,000, $7,085. Very cool. So NASA is number one because that's the only one we've shown so far. What about AIG? AIG's coming in second so far for the income now scenario, $6,500. All right, now what about Athene for the income now scenario? Athene and AIG matches each other for the income now scenario. And by the way, they won't always match each other if the income now is needed for a 60-year-old or a 63-year-old. I'm just taking one little cell and giving you an example. But I'll tell you, in almost every cell, you're going to find these 4 products among the top almost every time. Not every time, but almost every time. I don't want to get too general in my statements there, but these are category killers. Now, American Equity, here's the thing with American Equity. They make you wait 1 year. So you cannot do income now, income immediately. You have to wait 1 year. But if you wait 1 year, you're rewarded quite heavily. So American Equity, if I ran them all waiting 1 year, I'm quite confident that American Equity will win that scenario. So American Equity, again, is number one as far as level of payouts here. By the way, folks, let's go over to the SPIA, and then I'm going to talk with you about why I choose one company over another. And it's not just American Equity that I choose just because of purely the payout levels are killing it right now. There are actually other companies that in some cases I prefer more than American Equity. Okay, so you may be thinking, well, why would I choose an immediate annuity over, the payout levels like this? I assume, Charlie, an immediate annuity is going to kill it because, you're losing almost all of the control over your money with an immediate annuity. You're putting in $100,000. They're just giving you a payout back. Yes, there are some liquidity options in some immediate annuities as far as commutation values, stuff like that. But Charlie, what does an immediate annuity look like on $100,000? Well, nothing fabulous compared to our GLWBs. $6,800 is our top when I ran it through my calculator here. Nationwide in this scenario is our top. Now keep in mind that is with a cash refund. So a life with a cash refund. If you pass away prior to getting back what you put in, your beneficiaries get back the amount that gets them whole again, basically. The difference between what the client took and what the client put in. Now, why would one choose an immediate annuity? Because this is inferior to 2 of our 4 GLWBs that we just talked about. Taxes, baby. Immediate annuities are very good with taxes. There's a good chunk of that $6,800 that is excluded from taxes. What is that? What's excluded from taxes? Like $6,400? That, my friends, is called an exclusion ratio. Tax benefits are huge with immediate annuities, but I'll tell you, when it comes to levels of payout and the fact that you still have your accumulation value growing for you with the indexed annuity, that's why folks are choosing 9.5 times out of 10 indexed annuities over single premium immediate annuities. Now, folks, when would I choose one product over the other? First of all, in this scenario, if it's just, hey, I want max income, period, max income, don't care about anything else, well, that's obvious. American Equity, at least within this cell, with this client, with this 65-year-old. Now, what product do I market quite heavily? Because a lot of times when I talk with agents, that's what they think is best for their client, AIG. Why is that? They're not a killer on income now. Income later, they were okay. By the way, when I say okay, I'm talking about okay relative to these 4 companies. These 4 companies are the cream of the crop as far as levels of income that they're given versus, say, their 50 or so competitors. But why will I choose AIG or the agent choose AIG, say 9 times out of 10? It's because of this right here. Gonna pan out because of this right here. There is also accumulation potential. There is also accumulation potential with AIG, a 9% cap on a plain vanilla S&P 500. Why is that important, Charlie, if I'm just choosing the GLWB eventually? Because if you die young instead of living too old, your beneficiaries, you want them to have a decent death benefit. And that death benefit is determined based off of how that client's actual contract value has grown. Well, how does this accumulation potential? Hey, Mrs. Client, if the market goes up 10, you get 9. If the market drops 10, you get 0. If the market goes up 5, you get 5. How does that accumulation potential compare to, say, American Equity? Because remember, there is no free lunch with product pricing. Well, that was a 9% cap. What is American Equity's cap? Virtually no accumulation potential, 1.75%. So this is a microcosm of the trade-offs that I'm talking about. What about Athene? Athene is middle of the road as far as accumulation potential in that they have a decent cap. It's not lighting the world on fire. Athene's a wonderful company. They're the #1 indexed annuity carrier in the industry. But they have a 5.25% cap, less than our 9% cap, okay? What about Nassau Re? Nassau Re, at least on this product, and by the way, all these companies have great accumulation products. They have great accumulation products. It's just not these. These are income-focused products. There's a difference there. But Nassau Re, our traditional S&P 500 point-to-point, 3.5%. And I like to use the traditional S&P 500 point-to-point because that is a good benchmark, because there's a lot of noise and a lot of smoke and mirrors that goes on with these volatility control strategies. I mean, one might say, well, Charlie, that's ridiculous. Why are you not comparing this to XYZ's 350% participation rate? Don't get me started on the differences between volatility control and non-volatility control. In the end, these payout factors, and American Equity. When would I choose American Equity? Well, say the client wants a 10% premium bonus. They have a 10% premium bonus on there. What about smaller premiums? That would certainly be American Equity, say $5,000 minimum. What about flexible premiums? Anytime I think of flex premiums, I think of American Equity. Most of their products, most of their products are flexible premium products, as in can take additional deposits after year 1. All these other products we've been talking about are single premium products. So that might be why I would choose American Equity. A lot of reasons there, right? AIG, I would choose them for accumulation potential in addition to the income potential, which is a very big deal, which is why I choose AIG a lot of times, because a lot of folks get sued when they tell the client, hey, you're guaranteed 10% per year. And the client looks at their statement and they're seeing their accumulation value hasn't even grown. Well, they're going to have a lot of questions for you. That is not the way to represent a rider with a 10% roll-up. But even if you do fully represent it the way that you should, the clients usually still want accumulation potential, just in case they change their mind later on, death benefit, etc., etc. But in the end, what matters most for our income sales is the end income amount. Forget the 14% roll-ups, which is what Nassau Re had on their income later. Forget the 10% roll-ups. Forget the whatever percent roll-ups. Forget the payout factors. What matters here, as Athene put out in the brochure, is the end income. Because here's the formula for what determines that client's end income. X times Y equals the end income. X is the roll-up on top of the roll-up on their benefit base. Y is the payout factor. You can make X absolutely huge as a carrier, but just minimize Y, and vice versa, right? There's a lot of marketing. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors that goes on. What's important, as I demonstrated to you, is what is the end payout number? And that's exactly what Athene has said with this nice brochure. When it comes to guaranteed income, payout factors are only part of the story. There's more than meets the eye. What you put in versus what you can take out, that is what is most important. But of course, take into consideration the other stuff we discussed as well. Folks, let me know if I can run you an illustration. I look forward to talking with you.